Yeah, step into the cage, let's go. It's the Maniacs, you ready for the show? Can't catch a load of Joe B in the place. Bringing heat to the mic, we're winning this race. Yeah, from the octagon fire to the studio mics. Tune in weekly, we're dropping the spikes. Analyzing every punch, every kick that lands. Maniacs in the game, playing with fans' demands. Ken's got the insight, Joe's got the flair. Mapping out the fights, we'll take you anywhere. So grab your popcorn, buckle up tight.
This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
What's up, guys? Back again, MMAnaics podcast. We hope you guys had a good holiday. We had a little hiatus. As you can see, usually I'm joined by my crime partner, Bare Knuckle Ken, but right now he's got some things going on. So we're gonna, obviously wish for everything to work out well, so he can get back to us hopefully next week. Life happens. Life comes at you sometimes. So with that said, we've a couple weeks. There's a lot going on now. I was just paying attention to the card that's coming up next month, January 24th, and it's the Paddy Pimblett versus Justin Gaethje card. So you have the interim title fight, Paddy and Justin, but also you have Kayla Harrison and Amanda Nunes, which is going to be a fantastic fight. The thing is, I was talking to Ken about this, that the UFC has done a terrible job of marketing this fight. I mean, they signed it months ago, and you just haven't seen any sort of publicity for it. Like, they've had some press conferences where, like, Amanda Nunes is talking about, I want to win the belt and this and that, but it's like I didn't even know that this fight was happening January 24th until I went and I was like, hey, let's go look at the upcoming UFC card. That should tell you something. Like, I think they've really dropped the ball on their publicity for this fight, because this is one of the biggest fights in women's MMA history. I mean, Amanda, widely considered the GOAT. I personally don't consider her the GOAT. I definitely think she's in the conversation, but she's lost to some mediocre fighters. Let's just be honest. And she had a very dominant run, absolutely. But I think at this point, especially with her victory over Zhang Weili, and the fact that I think Valentina, and I'm not the only one, about 50% of the MMA community thinks that Valentina beat Amanda in the second fight. I rank Valentina above her. However, this is being marketed as the GOAT fight, right? So you have, if Amanda can knock off Kayla, it's pretty much the last check box, right? Like, she's cyborg. She's taken out everybody in front of her, Ronda Rousey and Holly Holm and these former champions, right? Now it's like, if she can beat Kayla, there's really nobody left, right? Although I would like to see one more time before Valentina hangs. I wouldn't mind seeing Valentina and Amanda go at it. I think Amanda got a gift decision in the second fight, and I think Valentina could be more than, and I wouldn't mind seeing her get a win, potentially. If she loses, I mean, she lost to Amanda 3 times, and Alexa Grasso once. There's no real shame in that. She's avenged her loss to Alexa Grasso in dominant fashion. She just beat Zhang. But let's talk about this Kayla Harrison fight. It's very interesting when you look at how Kayla dominated Juliana Pena physically, right? Like, took her down. And Juliana, she was trying her best with the jiu-jitsu, trying to play guard. And at the end of it, in the second round, Kayla just overpowered her and just took the Kimura. She basically just said, no, give me that arm, and I'm just stop it. So it adds an interesting dynamic to this fight because, Kayla has never really been known as a great stand-up fighter. Like, it's obvious what she wants to do, right? She wants to wrestle Amanda. She wants to take her down and try to submit her. Amanda, on the other hand, she's got hands, and she's got in her hands. So obviously she's going to want to try to keep it standing, try to knock her out, and really put an exclamation point on her quote unquote GOAT status. So it's the classic striker versus grappler. Although Amanda, has some grappling, but I wouldn't consider her grappling elite by any means. Kayla, I believe, is a judo champion, which lends itself to the takedown game. Amanda's going to have to be on point, because Amanda is used to being the stronger fighter, physically stronger fighter in a lot of her fights. So when it comes to clinching on the cage and things like that, I do feel that Kayla is going to have a strength advantage, and she'll be able to wear on Amanda that way. And I believe that's her best path to victory, is to clinch her on the cage, keep trying for the takedowns or the trips. She's got those judo hip throws. Like, I could see that being an effective tool. But just wear on her, lay on her, let Amanda carry her weight for 2 or 3 rounds and just gas her out, because Amanda has shown that she can gas. Like, you look at that first Juliana Pena fight. Now, of course, people will say, well, she had long COVID. Okay. Maybe she didn't really train for the fight. Okay. But Amanda has been taken into deep waters before, and she's been beaten. She's been mauled, actually, and stopped by, fighters like Ngannou, who, no disrespect to Kat Zingano, but she's not a world champion caliber fighter, right? Amanda has at times fought down to her level of competition, mainly before her historic title run. But this is I don't think that's going to be a problem here, because I think she knows that Kayla is the real deal. She's going to come on top of her game. It's just going to be a battle of wills, right? Like, who's able to force their will on the other person. So you're going to have Amanda trying to knock her out and really bully her with the striking, and you're going to have Kayla she's going to have some tight bobs and weaves, man. She's going to have to keep her head on a swivel, because Amanda's got real legit power for anyone in that division. Like, if you get clipped, you can go out. She put Cyborg out. She put quite a few fighters out. So Kayla's going to have to be very crafty, which I don't think should be too big of a problem. She's going to have to get her into the cage, I think, and just lay on her and just make her carry her weight and just gas her out. And by the 3rd round, I think it'll be Kayla's fight, because Amanda won't have any more steam on her punches. It should be Kayla's fight at that point. Am I making that prediction? I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to make that prediction right now. I want to see how it goes closer to the fight before I make my prediction. I want to see how the weight cuts are going, how that kind of thing, because last fight, for the Juliana fight, Kayla looked like death warmed over on the scale, and yeah, she managed to overcome that, and she made weight, and then she dominated Juliana physically, but that was more of a strength thing. and Amanda is a much stronger, physically stronger fighter than Juliana. So I don't, if she comes in looking like that again, I, I don't know. That's why I'm not really willing to make this prediction right now, because a lot can happen in a weigh-in, and she's not going in where no matter how much she drains herself, she's going to be the physically stronger fighter. I do think in top shape and with a good weight cut that she will have an advantage in strength on Amanda. But if that weight cut is like it was last time, I don't know. That makes things, because she cuts more weight than Amanda does. Kayla, I mean, I don't know how much exactly she cuts to make 35, but it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 30, 35 pounds to make, at least to make one. So she's basically draining herself to the point of death in order to make weight. That said, she has a very good judo background, and keep in mind, not just throws. Judo is pins, it's joint locks. Now, her jujitsu game, uh, we don't know. Like Juliana, she didn't really get to test her game that much against Juliana. She was on top. We did see her use a Kimura, but a Kimura is not really, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of a basic submission. I mean, there's you just grab their. Well, I don't know. Basic in the sense that there are definitely more complex submissions. It's like something that you would learn in the beginning of jujitsu. Like even as a white belt, you learn Kimura, and the way she finished it was really with muscle. I mean, she used technique. Her grip was good, and anytime you have two arms on one arm, the advantage is definitely yours. So she did a good job there, to muscle that out, and her grip was good. But with Amanda does have some jujitsu. Um, I'm basically the man. Well, I'm missing my buddy. My buddy Ken. Like it's trying to do the show by yourself is. I mean, I like to hear myself talk, but there's only so much. Um, but yeah, so with Amanda Nunes, like she has jujitsu skills. I wouldn't call her a specialist. I definitely wouldn't say that her jujitsu is anything spectacular within MMA or even within the UFC. She might be a black belt, but she doesn't strike me as being particularly high level in jujitsu. Like even if she is a black belt, not all black belts are the same. So I'll take for example a guy like Oliveira, right? Like his jujitsu is miles ahead of Amanda Nunes. Um, and they're both black belts, right? So not all black belts are the same. Khabib was a black belt, and Dustin Poirier was a black belt, and you saw how Khabib was able to dominate Dustin Poirier. That's not to crap on Dustin's jujitsu though, because Dustin actually his jujitsu is pretty high level. It's just not as high level as guys like Charles or Khabib. So Amanda, oh really? That's cool, man. Like I said, Amanda, I I struggle with Amanda Nunes in where to place her. Like obviously the majority of MMA fans place her as the women's GOAT, but I don't, because if we're being honest, she's lost to some mediocre fighters in her career, like I said, like Kat Zingano, and in those fights, it was basically what happened with Juliana Pena. She gassed, she got mounted or got controlled, got put in a bad position on the ground and got finished. She's been finished more than once by mid-card level fighters. Like maybe, Kat Zingano, I wouldn't, maybe that's a little bit disrespectful to call her a mid-card level fighter. She has fought, quite a few main events. But to me, you can't be the GOAT if you lose to mediocre competition. Number one. Number two, I think that it's definitely debatable that second fight with her and Valentina. I think Valentina edged, say Valentina dominated it, but Valentina, I thought, edged it. And a majority of the MMA world did too, but Amanda was given the decision. Let's see. When you look at who Amanda's fought, right? I mean, she's destroyed everybody that she was supposed to destroy, but it's like you look at things like when she beat Ronda Rousey, right? Now, Ronda Rousey was a pioneer in that she brought women's MMA into the UFC. But Ronda was not a well-rounded fighter. Like Ronda was a one-trick pony. She had the hip toss and then get you on the ground and armbar you. That was Ronda. She had a lot of title defenses because at the time women's MMA was in its infancy, and what you've seen. What's up, bro? What you see is that the women's MMA has evolved since then. It's evolved and fighters are much more well-rounded now. So now you have fighters like Valentina who can grapple, who can strike, whereas Ronda was kind of a one-trick pony. You have Holly Holm. It's kind of similar. Holly was not a strong grappler. She was a former world boxing champion, but she didn't really have the punching power that you would expect from a world boxing champion. And so, Amanda waxed her. Juliana Pena has pillow fists. I mean, her technical boxing is sound, but she has pillow fists. And she was able to rock Amanda several times in that second round of their first fight. Now, granted, Amanda came back and dog walked her for 5 rounds, 50-43'd her. Yeah, I do like boxing. I think boxing is a very good. If you're going to learn martial arts for self-defense, I think boxing is definitely the one that you want for boxing or kickboxing for stand-up. And then you want jiu-jitsu for your ground game if you want to be a rounded fighter, right? The only knock that I have on boxing is just with technical boxing. It's technical boxing and MMA boxing are two different things, right? MMA boxing is not as technical as technical boxing because you also have to defend elbows, knees, things like that. So technical boxing, you're only defending against 2 weapons, 2 fists. Whereas with MMA, you're defending against 2 fists, 2 elbows, 2 knees, 2 feet. It's just a lot. It has to be a lot more versatile. So speaking of life happening, there goes the kids fighting like always. So yeah, I do like boxing, but I think that straight boxing, technical boxing, doesn't do well in MMA. You've seen professional boxers come before, like James Toney, and he absolutely got demolished. And James Toney was one of the greatest, boxers in history. Like he was a middleweight, light heavyweight champ. Beat some of the greats in the game, but he got manhandled by Randy Couture. So it's boxing translates well in a street fight, but not so much in an MMA match. But I definitely think it's something that you should have in your repertoire. I think Amanda was the best woman fighter for more than 2 years. I think she had a good 3, 4, 5-year run. But the thing is that She beat everyone she was supposed to beat, but the women's MMA was limited in its roster for a while. You know, you had a lot of basically specialists, people that were either solely kickboxers or solely jujitsu people. I think you're seeing MMA, women's MMA now has evolved, and it's continuing to evolve, where you're starting to see more well-rounded fighters all around in all of the divisions. And so it's a good thing for women's MMA because it's going to mean more exciting fights. It's going to mean, better level of competition. Because even right now, if you look at it, like take bantamweight for example, after Kayla Harrison, who's left? Is the winner going to fight Juliana Pena again? I mean, you look at flyweight, right? Like Valentina has handled pretty much all the flyweights. Like she handled Fiorot. Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, but then yeah, that goes right into the argument that I was saying. Like boxers just don't do well in MMA because and I'll tell you exactly why. If you really want the breakdown, it's because when you train for boxing, to be a professional boxer, you have to start training when you're like 9 or 10 years old. It takes that long to be a good amateur, to win amateur titles, to go professional, to be a good professional fighter. It takes there's people that start even younger than that, right? So you're in a boxing gym from the time you're 8, 9, 10 years old. The problem is you're never getting taken down, right? Like your whole thing is being knocked down or being taken down is extremely bad. It's where you don't want to be. So you do everything you can to stay on your feet, right? Now, while this can give you tremendous heart and it can make your technical boxing very good to where you don't get caught with the haymakers, the problem is you take a guy who's wrestling gym since he was 10 years old and then he starts training MMA at 15, 16 years old or training jiu-jitsu somewhere in there, they're going to win every time. Because they're used to all the situations that a boxer is not used to, right? 80 I think I read somewhere it's like 86% of fights end up on the ground at some point. So the guy who has experience on the ground is going to have a massive advantage in 86% of fights. So, yeah, boxing you need it, but it's not the most dominant, or it's not the golden ticket in MMA, right? There's plenty of guys who don't have that boxing skill, but who have been champions. They're wrestlers like Sean Shirk or look at BJ. BJ's not a good example because BJ could throw hands. But yeah, so yeah, Amanda was on top for a while, man, and I mean she's kind of still on top because he's really like dethroned her, right? Like Juliana embarrassed her. But she came back and she made that right. She avenged that loss in spades. I mean, she absolutely she dog walked Juliana. I mean, it wasn't even a competitive fight. The thing is, though, and here's another thing. I give Juliana Pena credit for going the 5 rounds. Like, she's tough, right? She's hard to finish. But the way that fight went, Amanda should have been able to finish her by the 3rd round. Yeah, it's boxers are tough. They're tough, especially if you're going to sit there and try to trade with them. But if I know you're a boxer, I'm definitely not going to sit there and try to trade with you. I'm going to take you down, and then let's see how many punches you land off your back. Because me, I'm used to it. Like, I'm used to being on the ground. I'm used to being in bad positions with somebody on my back or somebody, having me in mount or side control. Like I spend a lot of time in those positions, and I don't panic anymore. I don't, it doesn't bother me. I'm able now to just continue to breathe, continue to think and work, and work my way to a better position. Whereas you put a boxer on the ground, it's the same thing as putting a wrestler on their back, right? Like we have wrestlers in our gym, in our jujitsu gym, and they make some of the best jujitsu guys because they're already so used to pressure and control, right? But when you put them on their back, they're like a turtle because they've spent their whole life training to not be on their back. And now all of a sudden it's like, so you're saying being on the back, like I gotta get used to that? Like it's there's a mental block there for a lot of wrestlers, and it's why it takes them a while to figure out guard, to figure out defensive positions, how to use guard effectively, because their first instinct is to get off their back as soon as they can. Whereas me, I like to play guard actually. I mean, obviously, if you have the chance to be on top or bottom, you probably choose top. But I actually like guard because there's so many sweeps and there's so many things available to you that can put you in an advantageous position. And I feel comfortable enough. I've been smashed enough by some really, really big and strong and nasty guys that it's it doesn't bother me being on bottom anymore. And I've learned to be patient with it. But back to Amanda, Amanda, if she beats Kayla, it's going to be tough to not call her the GOAT. I mean, everyone already is, but I don't know, especially after retiring, being out of the game for a couple years and then coming back. Um, that doesn't generally end well for people. And Amanda, she's no spring chicken. I think Amanda's like 37. Um, so with women's MMA, there's not enough data points to really like say, like, for example, in men's MMA, you can say anything under 155. Once you hit 35, it's like generally the cliff, right? Like that's where you go off the cliff. And the lower the weight class, the earlier it is. Like even at flyweight, it's like, you hit 33, you're already like starting to decline just because of the level, the speed, and the level of athleticism that's required, right? That's why heavyweights can fight till they're 45, 50, right? Because they're moving a lot slower. They're, the one punch can end a fight. Whereas with lightweights, they're, absorbing a lot more shots. They're a lot more active in grappling exchanges, and it just, there's a lot more wear and tear. And so the older you are, once you hit like 33, it's like you better hope you've won your titles by then, because by the time you hit 35, generally it's downhill. So with women's MMA, there's not really those data points yet. So Amanda, we have Valentina. Valentina is 30. I think Valentina is like 37, and she's still winning. So it's not impossible. Amanda could come in. I think Kayla's in her 30s, like probably 34, 35, somewhere in there. So, you do have older fighters, and at the top of divisions. I mean, Rose Namajunas has got to be, she's got to be up there too now. Carla Esparza. There's a few who have to be getting up there in age now. Jessica Andrade is in her 30s. So, but Jessica Andrade has definitely seen better days. Like she's probably at the end of her career. So yeah, it's we'll see about Amanda. Who knows? It's I'm not ready to make a pick on that fight. I want to break it down with Ken. Hopefully next week we'll be able to get into it a little better. Um, but another fight that I'm really excited about on that card though is Houfi and Fiziev, Rafael Fiziev and Mauricio Houfi. Now Houfi is coming off that crazy knockout, right? And he's he's Houfi is a top 10 guy, and he's trying to get up to a title shot. And Fiziev is, I think he's like ranked number 7, something like that. But Fiziev is not an easy out for anyone. He fought Gaethje really tough. There's some who believe that maybe he should have got the decision. So Fiziev is, the thing about Fiziev is that he's good everywhere, right? Like he can strike, he can wrestle, and the really his best trait is that the later it goes into a fight, the better he gets. Like he's a cardio machine, and he's kind of a slow starter. So I took the name of a famous MMA fighter. Oh, Joseph Benavidez. Yeah. So Joseph Benavidez is from Las Cruces, New Mexico. Fun fact: my family is originally from Tierra Amarilla or Tierra Amarillo, which is it's in it's like north of Albuquerque. The Benavidez name, especially the way mine is spelled, is actually kind of rare. So there's a distinct possibility that he's probably a distant cousin of mine. Because Las Cruces, and I have family in Taos. I have family, all in that area above Albuquerque. Hundreds of cousins, hundreds. So I wouldn't doubt if he's really me, but he was a good fighter. He just, for whatever reason, like he just couldn't beat Mighty Mouse, and he just happened. Some fighters, Joseph Benavidez could have been a champion at any other time. Like he could have been a champion. Even right now, like he had the skills to be a champ, but the problem is he just happened to be the number 2 guy when Mighty Mouse was the number 1 guy. So it happens sometimes, like Dustin Poirier, he was, one of the best guys in the perennial top 5 guy. But for whatever reason, every time he got a title shot, it was against one of the most elite grapplers in the world, like Charles, Khabib, and Islam. Never got a chance for the belt with like a striker. That would have been a fantastic thing if he could have got a shot against a striker, because he's a black belt, good, and Dustin has power. And I'm a huge Dustin fan. Shout out Dustin Poirier. Congratulations on your retirement, man. Fantastic career. And you did it the right way, which is, that's obviously something that we care about, jiu-jitsu guys care about, is doing it the right way. No PEDs, no controversies, no, just being a class act. A good sportsman, a good individual, not getting arrested, and all those kind of things. Just being an A+ human being. So congratulations, Dustin. But Fiziev versus Houfi is a fantastic fight. I think it's the perfect test for Houfi, because Houfi he's fought guys who are like fringe top 10 guys, and he's beaten them. Fiziev at number 7 is like, it's a tough one, man, because the only reason Fiziev is at number 7 is because the top 5 is just so loaded. Like, you have just too many killers in the top 5. Fiziev, if like once Justin Gaethje retires, Max Holloway retires, that's 2 spots opened up. Fiziev will probably be in that top 5. He's a phenomenal fighter. Um, Hoofy is a devastating striker. He's very he's very studious. Like you can tell he watches a lot of fight film, and he finds openings like in his film training. He This is just how it seems to me from when I watch him. It's like he finds openings, and then he'll come with something in the fight, right? He'll give you a new look every fight, and it's different for every opponent. Um, this fight, it might be a check left hook. The next fight, it might be a spinning elbow. The next fight, it's just he sees something that's open, and he usually finishes the fight with that technique. So Fazeev, though, he's hard to finish. And as the fight goes on, he gets stronger, and he's gonna really try to put pressure on Hoofy, like wrestling pressure, and not just wrestling pressure, but striking pressure. Like he's the kind of guy that walks you down relentlessly. He's just gonna put pressure, 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 pressure to see if you break. Now Hoofy is kind of used to um being loose with it. Like he's not he likes to be on the front foot, so that's going to be an interesting thing. Like he likes to be the one kind of attacking, um but Fazeev also likes to be the one attacking. So one of them is gonna have to lead, and one of them is gonna have to follow. And so I think that'll be a big tell in the fight. Is does Hoofy allow Fazeev to sort of dictate? Does he allow him to pressure him, or does he look to like land something really clean and strong early, so that to try to change Fazeev's mind, to try to back him off of, okay, maybe I can't just walk this guy down the whole fight, right? Because if he lets him walk him down, it's going to be, in my opinion, it's going to be a dangerous fight for Hoofy. Um, the more that Fazeev gets to pressure you, the more his pressure becomes. So the stronger it becomes, the more intense, and the more he becomes just, like I said, like a snowball. That would be the best way to describe Fazeev. Is like, he starts off slow. It takes him a minute to get rolling, but once he gets rolling, he starts picking up snow, picking up snow, picking up snow, and then he just overwhelms you with just pressure and volume, volume wrestling, volume striking. So it's going to be interesting to see if Hoofy can solve that puzzle, because Hoofy can knock anyone out. He has crazy power, just like Prodis. He has crazy power, but what do you do when you hit a guy with everything you've got and he doesn't go to sleep and he doesn't go away, and this guy is still in your face, in your face, in your face, not allowing you to breathe, just following you, chasing you around the cage? There's a psychological aspect to it as well, where you start to get frustrated. Like, dude, I've hit this guy with shots that would knock out a horse, and this guy's still standing here. Like, and not just still standing here, but he's still chasing me. Like, there's a panic that starts to set in. So that's a big question in this fight for me: is can Fiziev force Hoofy to hit the panic button? Right? Can he take what Hoofy has to give? That's another huge question. Can he take Hoofy's best shot and keep going, keep pressuring? That's why this is such a fantastic fight. I'm really excited about that fight. And hopefully if Ken's back next week, we'll be able to break it down, like with the striking aspect of it. We'll go through the ground game of it. Hoofy obviously is from the Fighting Nerds, so he's got jujitsu. He trains with Kaio, And Kaio is obviously he's a ridiculous jiu-jitsu guy. I think he got his black belt in like 5 years, which is insane. Um, so yeah, we'll see. We will see. It's going to be interesting. Then in February, so we got another card coming up in February. With Alexander Volkanovski and Diego Lopez. I'll go ahead and be the first to say it. I don't understand why we need this fight again. Like, Volkanovski made it so dominating in the first fight that I'm struggling to understand why, right? Like, Diego is a fantastic fighter. Don't get me wrong. Like, he's well-rounded, but he had nothing to offer Volkanovski. Volk is just too fast. So basically, at this point, we're just kind of the only real question in the fight is this the fight where Volk finally is over the hill? Is that what we're waiting for? Like, we're waiting for Volk to just finally, his body to crap out and we get a new champ? That the fight is not intriguing other than for that reason, and that bothers me. I think it's a very tough situation though, because there's 145 is stacked, right? Like, there's a lot of guys in that top 10 that nobody's really separated themselves as being, I absolutely deserve the next title chunk of them too. But like, you have Laurent Murphy. I would love to see Laurent Murphy and Volk fight. I think that's an interesting fight. We haven't seen it yet, you know. But I think they want one more fight from Laurent Murphy before they give him a shot. I would go out on a limb. I would say give him Yair Rodriguez. Just for pure entertainment value, like, Laurent Murphy and Yair Rodriguez would be a fucking barn burner, dude. Like, those guys, both of them love to strike, and they both have, elbows and just unorthodox strikes. If not unorthodox, like, unpredictable striking, right? So I would love to see that. That would be a fantastic fight. I mean, who else at 145? I mean, John Silva just lost to Diego, which is why Diego is getting the fight again. But we just had it like 6 months ago. Just doesn't make sense to me. But I guess the UFC figures there's nobody really else that they can. Nobody really else has set themselves apart, right? But I kind of feel bad for Diego, because some fighters never get a title shot in their whole career, and here he's going to have 2 in 1 year, and he's probably going to lose just because Volk is on another level. And I like Diego. I would like to see Diego become a champion. I just don't think it's going to be next month or in February. I just don't think that's going to be it. I also saw another fight that I'm not terribly excited about, but Sean O'Malley and Song Yadong. So obviously they're trying to build O'Malley back up. They're feeding him Yadong, who will stand and trade with him. It's, I mean, it's basically like in Jurassic Park when they like tied the goat up to the post, and then they in the T-Rex pen, right, or in the Velociraptor pen. It's like they're feeding Yadong. They're feeding Song Yadong to Sean O'Malley to try to build O'Malley's credit back up after he just got devastated by Merab. Merab, and Piotr Jan, we had just sort of, me and Ken had just sort of kind of got into this, but I would like to see Marab take a little bit of time off, but we absolutely have to have that trilogy between Marab and Piotr Jan. Right now, I would have to lean Jan just because of how the last fight went. I think it was a very, very much a statement, but you can never fully count Marab out. You can never really count Marab out. So if he can come with something, I don't want to say different, but just I think Marab trying to defend the belt 4 times. You're doing 4 fight camps in a single year. That's ridiculous. Most people do 2 for a reason, right? So with Marab with a 6-month break, I would love to see him come back, and I definitely think he deserves an immediate rematch. If he can try to defend the title 4 times in 1 year, like I definitely think that deserves an immediate rematch, especially based on how dominant his defenses were. I mean, there was nobody that even really came close. So yeah, it's yeah. So I would like to see Marab take a little break. I wouldn't mind seeing Piotr Jan fight in the interim, right? Like let him defend the belt against somebody else. It creates new interesting matchups, right? I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Sean O'Malley and Piotr again. Although Sean obviously he's going to be fighting. Uh, he's going to be fighting. I think it's on a fight night or it's in the February card. He's going to be fighting in February. So unless Marab is going to take a whole year off, which I don't think Marab is going to do at this point, then that fight probably doesn't happen. The O'Malley versus Jan fight, but there's plenty of good fights at 135 that could happen, and I wouldn't mind seeing Jan take one of those fights. In the meantime, there's also with at 125 with Pantoja being injured now, it changes everything because he's been on a dominant run, so he definitely deserves an immediate rematch. But the problem is he can't have an immediate rematch because his arm is absolutely cooked. So in the meantime, why not have Joshua Van fight a guy like Manel Kopp or Hoyval or Brandon Moreno or I'm done seeing Ursig fight. Like I don't really want to see Steve Ursig get the shot, but let him fight one of these guys that's in the top 5 to 7. Let him defend the belt, and if he loses, then it's sort of like the ball never lies kind of thing, right? Like then maybe he doesn't really deserve to be champ. If he wins, then it's good because it's like he cements himself as the champ, and then he comes back for we circle back to that Pantoja fight, which was what we were supposed to see all along, right? And hopefully Pantoja has been working on his side falls. Like right? Like side fall, it's white belt stuff, man. Although I will say my professor is very impressed with Pantoja's jiu-jitsu. He said that Pantoja is a good grappler. He doesn't understand why Pantoja wouldn't accept the takedown, why he wouldn't just, fall. He yeah, my professor was kind of like in awe about that. He's like, I don't understand, you know, you're good on the ground. This guy Joshua Van, nobody really knows if he's good on the ground or not because he's only been standing up. You definitely have the advantage on the ground. Why are you so worried about letting him take you down? Like, and it wasn't a true takedown, right? He just he caught the high kick, lifted his leg up and lifted it up to the point where, okay, now Pantoja can't lift his leg any higher, so he goes down, right? It's like, why are you afraid to go down? Like, you should have just, side fall and invite him into your guard. Like, come on, like, it, but now it's like you lost the belt. You lost all the money that goes along with having the belt. You lost time in your prime. Like that's something that can't be understated. Like Pantoja is in his physical prime and he was dominating. And not to mention, it's like losing the belt. Now it's like you had a streak of defenses going, right? Now that starts all over. So as far as making history goes, like your reign has been interrupted, and now it starts all over again if you can win the belt back from Joshua Van. And so to me, that's just all because you didn't want to sidefall. I don't know. But men's flyweight is going to be interesting. You got guys still hanging around there like Kai Kara France, you know, who I really like, but I kind of view Kai Kara France as always the bridesmaid, never the bride, right? Like he's good enough to be a perennial top 5 guy, but I just don't ever see him really being a champion unless this would be a perfect matchup. Him and Joshua Van, that would be the best opportunity for Kai Kara France to win a belt would be if he could get this matchup with Joshua Van. And it would be a phenomenal fight. They're both phenomenal strikers. That would be an absolute dogfight. I would be up for that. Manel Kopp is also another very strong striker. I wouldn't mind seeing that. Hoyval, Joshua Van already beat Hoyval, so that doesn't really excite me. Brandon Moreno, I would like to see Moreno and Joshua Van. I think it would be a very interesting fight, but Moreno's already got a fight booked, and he's coming off like 2 or 3 straight losses right now in very, very close fights, a couple really tight split decisions, and then he got by Tyra in the last fight, but that was it's such it's frustrating because he wasn't in any real danger. He got stopped because of a position, right? Like he was on his stomach. He was like proned out. He was taking shots, but the shots weren't really damaging him. But the ref decided like, oh, well, he's probably not going to get out of this position. We'll go ahead and stop the fight. So Brandon Moreno's got his back against the wall. Like he needs a win. He needs a win bad, like bad. And if he can get that win and start fighting up the rankings again, that'll be good. That'll be good for him. I think he still has. I don't know. It's tough to say. I mean, he's already a 2-time champ, but the problem for him is he's not getting any younger. I think he's like 35 right now, 34, and he's an old 34. Like he's got like 40 something fights on his resume, and especially at flyweight, at the smallest, most active weight, right? Like that just doesn't itself to great longevity, I should say, not longevity. So Brandon might be starting to decline. I would really like to see him get another chance at a title run, really finish off, put the stamp on his career. I think he has Hall of Fame potential. Is he there now? I don't know. I don't know if he's beaten enough top level competition I mean, he beat Figueiredo. He dominated Figueiredo, but then he lost to Figueiredo, and then I don't know, man. I don't know. He lost to Pantoja uh, twice or maybe three times. It's like, I don't know if he has the Hall of Fame resume at this point. He might need another title run. But I really like Brandon Moreno. He's one of my favorite fighters. I've liked him ever since I saw him on The Ultimate Fighter. I love his, and I love the fact that he represents Mexico. I'm a big fan, especially in boxing. I'm a fan of Mexican fighters because I'm Mexican, Mexican American. I grew up in a Mexican Spanish speaking household. When Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. was my idol, was our whole family's hero, was every Mexican's hero in the mid '80s to the mid '90s. So I do root definitely for Mexican fighters like Alexa Grasso, like Brandon Moreno, like Irini Aldana. I do root for them, and I'm really excited to see MMA starting to take off in Mexico, where we're starting to get champions, like plural champions, out of Mexico. I think that the sky's the limit. Mexicans have dominated in boxing for so long. They've really made a lot of history there, especially at the smaller weights. UFC, MMA is sort of untapped as far as that goes. It'll be interesting to see how many, because boxing is such a beloved sport in Mexico. It's, for a lot of people, it's their way out of poverty, right? For a lot of kids, it's their way to make their family's life better. So you got to wonder, like, if MMA is going to start poaching from boxing, like, are we going to get less Mexican boxers in the future because these guys are going to MMA instead? I think it's a natural occurrence. I think as MMA starts to spread its roots and spread its wings in Mexico, that there's inevitably going to be a group of kids who, rather than going to the boxing gym, they're going to go to the MMA gym. And so you may see less world-class boxers from Mexico and more world-class MMA fighters, because the one thing that Mexican fighters are famous for, are pride themselves on, is that warrior spirit, that never say die attitude, which lends itself well in a fight. They're also known for being pressure fighters, in boxing. So it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see how that pans out over the next, 5 to 10 years. In the meantime, we're out of time. It's been, I know you got to be tired of hearing me talk by now. I'm tired of hearing me talk. Hopefully Ken will be back next week, because it's a lot nicer to have a partner to bounce things off of, right? And so in the meantime, I just wanted to, I want to thank you guys for joining us, and come back next week, and hopefully we'll have the gang back together, and we'll be able to get into these January and February cards and really like the way that we usually do. But in the meantime, thank you guys, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, yo, it's game time, ain't no messing around. Huddle Sports Network, the best in town. From NFL rumors to the latest trends, we got all your sports, just tune in, my friends. Catch us on Roku, Fire Stick, take your pick. Facebook, YouTube, where the action's slick. Daily shows that drop like a bomb. From 10 to 11, it's Ken and Ken, stay calm. Huddle up, catch the vibe, feel the rush. Get your news, get your fills in the clutch. Over 27 podcasts, we breaking it down. Join the team, Huddle Sports, wear the crown. Live every weekday, it's how we roll. Lions Talk with Jeremy B, we taking a stroll. From 11 to 12, don't miss a beat. We break down the game, make the info sweet. The Daily Huddle Podcast, noon to 1. CST Zone, we're just having fun. Toss your doubts, we bring the facts. Tune into the huddle.